The DNC talking about how Mamdani's a threat while Trump is so unpopular is just wild to me. Yeah, I talked about this today on the pod. I basically try to make my broader point, which is like, I think I didn't even do a good job of this yesterday because I sort of let perfect be the enemy of good. There's like a few tiny things that Mamdani is supporting that I think aren't borne out by evidence. But like in general, I just want to say, having a young person who is a decent person, like a person without corruption or sexual assault charges, who seems like they can speak coherent sentences, is incredible. I just want to be clear, like the core problem is this deep multi-decade vacuum of all assets into boomers' hands, and then every government function being pulled to keep those assets propped up. So having someone who is not part of that system, who is not corrupted by it, who is not beholden to moneyed interests is good. It's a very good thing, and it's a strong signal. The way I put it was this. Think about it like earthquake tectonic plates, things that are bigger than him or any one man. Two massive earthquake plates that are moving to create a gigantic fucking earthquake, all right, to change politics. The two of them are inequality, which is ever widening and becoming more and more of a problem, especially in America. And the other one is social media. Social media is a tectonic plate because it allows people to skip around the traditional middlemen, social media, podcasts, etc. Okay, these two things are creating not only Mamdani's unexpected campaign, but it's also creating Trump. It's also creating populism and like outside the norm systems everywhere because the current system is fracturing. It's not working because it's creating so much inequality. It's like a sign that this stuff can work, and that if the current or the remaining establishment, if you can even call it that, they don't even have any power, but doesn't understand that if this isn't solved, this earthquake gets bigger. It just keeps pushing against and more things they think are crazy. Like if you listen to like establishment people in New York City, it's like such a shock to them. You know, so many billionaires donated to Cuomo's campaign and they're shocked. They're shocked about the upset. And like, it's not shocking if you understand that these tectonic plates are only getting more smashed together. It's only creating more things that we previously would think are unthinkable. People are desperate. Like old methods of like discrediting Mamdani, being like, oh, he's Muslim, or like trying to like, I think they photoshopped his face to make his beard bigger and more brown. Like that stuff doesn't work anymore because people are desperate. It's the same thing, like, I mean, on the opposite side, it happened with Trump, where like things they thought would work, like let's call him Hitler, let's call him a fascist. It didn't work because people are, again, so desperate. They're taking more radical. The old methods of button you press didn't work. It just is people are breaking out of those methods because of social media, because of inequality. So listen, yeah, again, the minor things, if I had to bring it up, or as I'm skeptical of things like rent freezes, because they've been tried in other cities. Like Berlin is a great example, where they had a progressive governor or mayor in 2019. They tried rent freezes. It ended up being a big disaster. Supply choked off. They had to undo it. There's problems. However, on a larger scale, I think he's a smart guy who will try different things, adjust as they work, as long as he's not corrupt. You know what I'm saying? If you're a good person, not corrupt, and have a brain, you can adapt and solve problems. I'm hopeful. He's also doing abundance shit along with the rent freeze. I'm aware of all that he's done. I researched it for the pod today. I'm aware of every one of his policies. I went through point by point and which ones I support, which one I don't. Many of them I do. I think free buses, look, I looked up all of how they've worked in other cities, and free buses is incredible. That has worked in other cities. It does increase ridership. I think state-owned grocery stores has a pretty spotty record, but maybe he does a pilot program, gives it a shot. There's cons to free ridership. I'm aware. I've looked up all of it. I've talked about all of it, dude. The cons to free ridership are that sometimes, not in every case, but sometimes when they've tried free ridership, because the buses now become just a gigantic cost, not a gigantic, but a cost center to the city instead of like balancing revenue neutral, the quality of the buses begins to degrade. They become less often refreshed, updated, cleaned, whatever. And it becomes quality worse. That's a general con in some places that have tried free ridership. However, it's also worked effectively in other places. And it does seem to decrease congestion and increase ridership overall. Plus, you save the danger and the hassle sometimes of having to collect fees on buses. Plus, overall, you know, you might think free buses in all of New York, that's expensive. It's not that expensive. I don't remember the cost off the top of my head, but it was like not a big percentage of the budget. So I think it would be doable. But also, here's what I want to say, and this is what like people don't want to hear, but it's just like true. It's like, if you actually ask people to name mayors that have made significant positive impact in any city around the world, mayors don't have that much power because they already have like 99% of their budget allocated. They don't get to change much. Everything is already sort of running. They don't have a lot to play with. I've looked into mayoral races a lot before a different mayoral race. And what I found is like mostly what a mayor does is take the small amount of little budget they get and do what I would like to call photo op politics. So they do like a few things that like they can take a photo out and be like, wow, we broke ground on this bridge, or it's like some little thing. And then everyone pogs, but it's not, nothing really changes in the city. And I don't think it's, I'm not saying he's going to radically change things forever, but I think the biggest gain from this is the symbolic one, not like I think it's going to be a drastic change to life in New York. Most people don't even know that de Blasio ran on a very similar program. Like de Blasio ran on, there are a tale of two cities. There's an inequality in New York. There's one city for the rich, one city for the poor. We need to change that. And then de Blasio didn't change much. Like nothing changed. For me, the exciting thing is that a young person won, despite money and dirty tactics being used to stop them from winning. That's what I think is cool, because it's a sign that it can happen elsewhere. Not that I think he has enormous power now and will change much. The greatest mayor in New York history, do you guys know? Are you guys aware of this? Who is the like widely agreed greatest mayor in New York history? It's LaGuardia. And LaGuardia, do you know what he did to become the greatest mayor in New York history? He just sat there and agreed with whatever FDR said. He just basically he was like at the same time of FDR, and he said, whatever FDR says, we're gonna do it. Because he was paired with a national power. He just sort of went along, like he fully bought in to a much larger movement. Is Mamdani capable of that if we had a larger national movement? Yes, of course. Don't you mean America's mayor? Of course, I forgot about Rudy Giuliani, who solved 9/11. How did he solve it again? Did he stop the planes? What people don't know is there was 5 more planes coming at New York and Rudy stopped them all. People get mad about the 2 that got through, but like Rudy really it could have been a worse day. It'd be insane content if Zoran started doing whatever Trump said. Mamdani gets into power and it instantly becomes full MAGA. It was a tire bait and switch. Puts on a red hat and smiles. Cuomo was right about me. Almost like socialist policies help people. Americans can't handle it. Listen, I'm not trying to rain on each parade. Let's see some positive changes. People are acting like this is the first progressive mayor. There's been a wide range of them, and some of them have not improved housing at all. They've made it worse. I live in California where I've seen it happen. Plus, I was told this by somebody who watches interviews, but they said he really, really seems to be pragmatic, which is the thing I want most in a candidate. Pragmatic meaning they'll have an idea, they'll try it, and if it's not working, they'll tweak it or they're not like so ideologically driven that they're going to stick to their guns and like ignore the evidence. It's common sense to think about to try it. This is a great quote. This is perfect. That's why I love FDR, bro. That the whole FDR moment in American history was exemplified by this. They tried so many things. Not all of them worked, but they had action and motion from a basis of better stuff for average Americans. It was great. I mean, that is a really good time. They had motion. FDR had motion is what I'm trying to say. They used to have motion. What's stopping rich New Yorkers from moving to not getting taxed? A genuine question. The best way to look at it would be if all the policies outside of taxation are working such that New York is a growing, thriving city, people don't leave. The opportunity is there. The only time you get like a doom loop, this has happened in some countries, is where they are raising taxes as they are declining, in which case people are fleeing almost a sinking ship. If you are in a growth environment, you can raise taxes as much as you want. And ideally, it's this positive feedback loop where the taxes you're raising are spent on things like infrastructure, schooling, roads, bridges, things that make growth. What you're worried about is like UK is in a bit of a doom loop where they are trying to raise taxes into a low growth, actually like recessionary environment. It's much harder to do because people flee. If they cut spending on dumb shit, I would happily pay taxes. My main thing lately has been tax enforcement and equality, in that like 2 people in the same bracket pay wildly different rates based on how ethical they are, based on how much they're willing to exploit loopholes. And that is a system. You really want it to not be like that. You would like everyone in the same bracket to be paying the same rate. Get them to that level, and then we decide what the rate should be, which should, be a lot higher. I think I saw a great graph that is, here, I don't have it on me, but I'll draw it for you because I remember it verbatim. I thought it was so important. If you poll any group of Americans, anyone, Republicans, Democrats, rich people, poor people, old people, and ask them what they think roughly the ideal tax breakdown is for how rich you are. Like, let's say this is poor and this is omega rich. They usually have it as something like this. This is like 5%, 40%. They see it generally going up. And if you show them the actual graph, it looks like this. This is the actual graph where just right around the omega rich, it just fucking free falls. Again, if you ask like a hyper progressive person, it looks more like this or whatever. If you ask a Republican, it looks more like this. But like it all follows the same curve. But the actual curve is super bent. So step one is fix this, like bend this shit back up to a normal agreed upon curve and then enforce it. That's step one. At some point it's profitable. Yeah, this is exactly it. And I'll just be honest, I'm like sort of in that area now and I'm seeing it and it really frustrates me where it feels like if I don't, it's like I know people around my level of income are all abusing loopholes. It's like I'm behind because I'm not doing it. It's very frustrating. I don't like it. Like I'm incentivized to like get a tax planner and like, I think it's stupid. That job shouldn't exist. Like ideally it would be so clean and straightforward and everyone would play the same. Hate the game, not the player. I do. That's right. I hate the game. Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. It's like I was playing a really fun game and someone found an exploit where you can win by smashing your face on the keyboard and not looking. What even are the tax loopholes? I mean, the biggest one, the one that most wealthy people will do is that they will have no income, no salaried income. Everything will be in assets, like stocks, for example. And they'll take out a loan against their stocks and spend that. So technically for the year, they're in debt because they only pay taxes on the stocks when they sell them. So they don't sell. They just take out a loan with the stocks as collateral. And for the year, they made no income. So they pay no taxes all year. They have an extremely low interest rate loan for $100 million and they spend that money. That's their living money. They just roll that over for decades and decades and decades until they die. They don't even sell. And then when they die, they pass along all their stocks to an heir. And then you get what's called step-up basis, where the new, starting point, like here's the example. I'll explain this. This is important to understand. If I get a NVIDIA share from NVIDIA and it's, $25 when they give it to me and I hold on to it and I sell it at $250. I gotta pay taxes on the difference between when I got it. This is my capital gains. This is what I made in profit. The $225 profit, I have to pay taxes on. But if instead I hold this stock until I die using loans to live off of, and then I pass this on to my kid, well then the new basis for my kid is $250. So their starting point is $250. So they could sell it right now for $250 and there's no profit. They pay no tax. That's the step up basis. My personal belief is that the most part of our tax system is around inheritance. Around inheritance is where we really have problems that create generational wealth, bad incentives, and I really don't like it. Why shouldn't you be able to give your kids more? The real reason is because they didn't earn it. They didn't do anything societally to deserve it. So the incentive structure of what you might say markets or innovation, it isn't applying to them. And it is in fact entrenching an advantage that doesn't make sense. Isn't that the goal of the dream? No. The honest goal would be to live in a society that has such a strong protection from failure that your kids are not at an inherent disadvantage because they didn't come from generational wealth. Like the reason people want to give their kids wealth in America is a normal incentive because the advantages are so great. You don't want your kid to grow up with a worse school or worse opportunities than some rich kid, but the idea is that that shouldn't exist for anyone, right? So I'm curious, you talk a lot of socialist S policies, but you're clearly not a cap. Dude, I feel like I have to crash out. But I'm not going to. I'm gonna try and slice as much as I can. What I've found in modern day political discussion is that the word socialism means fucking anything. It's fucking anything. It does not have a hard definition. The word socialism is so broad. If I want to say tax the rich and pay for some social programs, the way FDR did, who himself was a capitalist, I am now socialist. That's not really true. I don't believe that the state should seize all private property or that should be the end goal. I believe in the power of competition and markets to create good outcomes. I support policies that are higher taxes on rich to help create a cap and a bottom, almost like in a cage. Socialism is when they seize all private property. See, that's again, you being, I won't say incorrect, I will say misinformed, because some people do have that as a definition. One of them being Karl Marx. Socialism and communism are interchangeable in Karl Marx's work. work, which I've now read. He uses the words interchangeably, but other people use it separately. Some people think socialism is only a step to communism. Some people think it's an entirely different thing. There's a lot of different terms for it. Nobody has a concrete definition. And I find that to be a little frustrating because if I use a more traditional definition, I'm like, well, that doesn't apply to me. Then people go, they make some type of judgments. For example, people call Norway socialist, but it's not. The Nordic countries in general are not socialist. I mean, they have billionaires, they have companies, they have private companies, they have the ability to start and found companies and create. They just have a safety net, a strong, well-enforced safety net. They have unions, they have countervailing balance of power. Those things are what I support. It's just a frustrating spot to be in because people constantly mischaracterize you. Language is fluid. Okay, but what is your point? Can you understand how fluid language, when you're dealing with concrete policies and outcomes, can become a problem where people end up mischaracterizing others or each other, ending up in places they don't want to be because of terms and definitions that are so fluid? You're conflating communism and socialism. No, bro, you're just misinformed. Caffeine addict. You are again assuming these have concrete definitions, but they don't. Many people, especially if you go farther back, they use the terms interchangeably, including Karl Marx himself. Socialism and communism are interchangeable terms to him. Now, language has fluidly changed for other people, but even some people think of socialism not as its own independent thing, but as just one step. Do you understand? Do you understand how there's many different ways you could take this? And so as someone who has read a lot, I use a different definition maybe than the internet, which just seems to be anything good for workers. Of course I support all these policies. The way that they're applied in these cases that I'm talking about, socialism is actually when there's a female protagonist in a video game. Now that we can agree on. That we can agree on. Yes, I think this is the true definition. Fire. Finally, we solved the problem. Thank God.